So, did you shoot? You guys shot at Pinewood, correct?
No, Shepperton.
Oh, you shot at...
We took over the entire studio of Shepperton.
And...
Because they had at the time the largest sound stage in Europe, and that was what the desert was. You know, the sand and the where we landed, and you know, John getting the face hugger on his face.
Yes.
So, but the other sound stages, one held the big alien thing, what was that called? The it was the thing where we were climbing all over and saw the dead body. What is it?
Yeah, the alien, the
alien
geyser.
Body and stuff like that. That was an entire sound stage. Then we had a sound stage that was the actual ship, where we started at the engine room, and then you walked through the engine room and you went down the corridor, and on to the left was the hospital, and to the right was the cafeteria. Everything was connected, so you couldn't just go, let's go around here and go on to that set. You had to walk through all of this, which gave a great sense of claustrophobia, which I think was really terrific.
And comes across in the movie, too.
Yeah. And as the movie progressed, they would just spray us down with glycerin, which was always a nice effect. Yeah, it was just so hideous. I mean, this was not an easy movie to make.
When you're talking about glycerin for sweat?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I have always... glycerin just drives me up a wall, what it does to my skin. And I know... Val Kilmer, when he was doing Tombstone and he played Doc Holliday, they put that on him and he would just suffer through it the entire day because he was longer. He had emphysema, and so he played it as, okay, this is part of the pain and this is something I got to put up with.
That he has to endure.
The suffering that he has to endure. Is your skin like that with
we were so filthy by the time you got home. I mean, because every granule of dust and dirt just clung to you. It was so hideous. I mean, but they had big spray cans with it, and they just spray us down. I mean, it started with me getting my hair cut. I had gotten off of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and my hair was down the middle of my back. And then I guess Ridley had talked to Sigourney and asked her to cut her hair off, and she refused. So I became the guinea pig. I tell you.
Cut your hair off. Huh?
Let me cut your hair off. Took 6 hours. He kept cutting it to different lengths. And finally he says, I want it to look like this. And it was during the height of the punk section where, people walked around where they were connected to each other with pants, and they had spiky hair sticking up all over the place. I said, well, look, I mean, my God, it was ridiculous. I went to a hairdresser down in Chelsea, and I said, it has to be this length, so cut it. But I said, we can always gel it up and be weird. I mean, I had a crew cut.
Yes.
And then our first day was shooting in the engine room. And of course, there was all that beeswax. There was tons of beeswax because of the smoke, to make smoke. And our first actor was John Finch, who was playing the character that John Hurt played. And John had just gotten out of the hospital with pneumonia, and by the end of the day was back in the hospital.
With pneumonia.
Due to all of this horrible smoke.
Yeah.
So we had to reshoot the next day, and they brought in John Hurt, and I went, oh shit, we look just like clones of each other. We both had the same skin color. We both had crew cuts.
Now that you mention it, yeah.
I thought, oh my God. Anyway, what can I say? We had to reshoot everything with John.
Do you remember how many days that it took to shoot, or weeks?
Well, we were there like 5 months.
5 months.
Yeah, 4 or 5 months, yeah.
Yeah. And so you were working 5-day weeks probably?
Yeah, 5-day weeks. And it was the only set I'd ever been on where the entire crew struck.
Struck?
Struck. They just decided that we were being overworked. They were working hideous hours. And of course, it was Shepperton is way out there. It's an hour and a half from where anybody else lived. And we had, a little chauffeur that would take us home.
Yep.
But they didn't. They would take an hour to wrap up, and then they'd go home, and they were exhausted. So they went to Gordon Carroll and told them that they were going to strike on Friday, and because they needed to have a weekend, and it would be at 5:30. They gave them all this warning. So all of a sudden, here comes 5:30 on Friday night, and they went, "Okay, boys," and every one of them just stopped, started winding up the cables, and of course the producers came running down and going, "You can't do this, you can't do." Ridley's willing to work,
Right.
and they said Ridley is always willing
Yeah,
to work.
right.
So
He's still willing to work. Yes.
I hear Gladiator's great though.
Yeah.
So they just wrapped up and left for the weekend. They decided they needed a
Were they
weekend.
putting in 14, 16 hours?
Oh my God! It was just really long hours.
Yes.
I mean, and on such a set, the sets were massive. I mean, the desert one alone was just like these big caves of vaginas and
Big caves.
I mean,
Yeah,
these big,
yeah.
I mean, everything
I think
was
we've got the-
phallic. I mean, it was just unbelievable. You look at it and you go, "Oh my God!" And then just everything was built. Space jockey, that's what it was. It was they called it
Yes,
the space
space jockey.
jockey, and so that was a whole set by itself. And of course, we were climbing all over it with those wonderful suits. But they had forgotten to put air holes in those helmets and any sort of listening device. So when we take it off, I said to Tom, I said, "Do you see white smoke kind of swirling around?" And he goes, "Yeah." And then we'd say to them, "What is that white smoke that we're seeing?" "Well, it was the CO2 canisters were leaking into our helmet." And so at one point, all three of us passed out. I mean, poor John Hurt, those were his drinking days. And you should have seen him by the time he got across that desert. You couldn't even see his face. It was so full of sweat. And there was a nurse there with an oxygen tank. Oh, my God, it was unbelievable. It was like, oh, God. And then, it was just incredible. And then it was a heat wave in London at this time during that period. So all the
So that means the rain was warmer, right?
Yes, and all of the bottles were popping, and it was in the pubs. And here we are, and he says, "I lost 10 pounds that week because they'd lined them with nylon." And you'd go to take the costume off, and there'd just be this ring of sweat hanging down. It was so disgusting.
Yes.
Oh God.
Okay. Well, let me. So the I don't know. Rumor is not the right word, but it's always been part of the alien
Lore.
lore.
maybe.
Thank you, Jim, for that. None of you were aware of. She's rolling her eyes like I've heard this question 40 fucking times, Michael. If you watch some other podcast I was on, you'd have the answer to this one. But
We read the script.
but I wanted to hear it from you, and I wanted to hear it, because I know what filming's like, and I know you can only see one thing once, and I know a lot of times people are bringing in stuff, and you're watching them set up stuff, and it's not like nothing. In my experience, nothing's a surprise. Nothing I did. No director was ever able to go like, whoa, like what, and that, according to lore, was what happened with that little face after he came out of John. Chest.
Penis, you mean?
Yes, that little nasty looking, and it is a nasty looking little thing.
Yeah.
Is there any truth to any of that at all?
Well, what happened was we were put up into our dressing rooms for hours. And it was just, I mean, it was ridiculous. We were up there like 4 hours, and Harry Dean was playing his guitar, and we're all going, what the hell is going on? And then they broke for lunch, and we were all eating lunch up there.
Yeah.
And then finally they call us down, and the entire set was dressed in plastic with big buckets of offal that they had stuffed in John's chest, his fake chest.
Yeah.
And the stench was unbelievable.
Oh.
Because it was all in
So
formaldehyde.
you'd read the script. This was in the script. You knew what was coming,
Well,
right?
we knew what was coming.
You're right.
But
Yes.
it
Okay.
was the setup that,
Okay.
and so I started to gag as I walked through the thing. I thought, oh my God, what is going on here? So there were 4 cameras, so it covered each one of us.
Okay.
So we didn't, because it was only one take. So we started to do the chest, the beast coming through the chest, and all of a sudden Ridley shouts, "Cut!" And everybody runs in and they cut the chest a little bit more because the T-shirt wasn't cut enough.
Right.
But of course, that built up anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just so damn fascinated by looking at it. I had no idea there was going to be a blood jet. And I just went straight into that damn blood jet, and it hit me square in the face, hence, oh my God. And then I backed up, and my knees hit this banquette that was there, and I flipped upside down, and there were 2 cowboy boots sticking up. And I thought, oh my God, they're still rolling. And I rolled over, and I ran back into the seat. It was so ridiculous. Anyway, they let us all go see the dailies of that because it was so ridiculous. It was like a Max Sennett movie. Da-da-da, disappear. Just flipped. And here you saw these 2 cowboy boots. Apparently, somebody found that footage, and it's in the latest of whatever.
Cut. Bloopers.
The outtakes,
Yeah.
Wow.
But it was
So was there anybody?
silly.
Was there any of the actors that went like, "Oh my God"?
No,
look at-"
whatever reaction that you saw
is
was
the
exactly what it was.
So they did one take of
take.
you guys.
One take. That was it.
Okay. Because
And,
it looked. Everybody except for your cowboy boots looked pretty shocked.
I mean, I did not know there was going to be a blood jet. Why would there be a blood jet?
Yeah,
I had no idea.
So did you even see the thing, or did you just have blood?
No. I just leaned right into it. I was so fascinated, and it hit me square in the face. Oh my
Well,
God.
you're so good in it. You're so good in the movie, and I think you're the last person to be alive.
Right.
Out of all the characters that
Right.
die, you're the last to leave.
one.
So you kind of have like the full show, and then you have Sigourney, of course. That sounds like a long, a difficult, rough, tiring shoot.
Yeah, it was hard.
You are doing me